Do you remember that time when the comedian gave that joke of jokes and the crowd went wild? The crowd went wild, but it went wild in a different way, didn't it? The comedian gave the jokes of jokes and the crowd went wild because they were bathing for blood. They were baying for blood from a comedian. He was on stage. He was doing his routine. It was a classic routine. I remember laughing. We were sitting in the back because we got the world's tickets. Well, we got the late tickets. They weren't the world's tickets. It was good because we were in the nearest exit. Yes. Did you recall it? Well, I did. But then when I got home, something weird happened. But anyway, we already know that. I know, but let's just share what exactly happened. So the comedian, he was doing his routine, and then suddenly he said a joke which clicked with a member of the audience. The audience member didn't like it, and he started to rip. He started to have a go at him. Yes, he was got up and started to yell at the comedian. And normally when you yell at the comedian says something funny, and it puts him aside, and the heckler, he just settles down. But he didn't settle down at all, did he? The comedian said something, the crowd laughed, and the heckler stood there. He stood there and he started going again. He started getting personal. He started getting really personal. Then the crowd was going, ooh, 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 and the comedian was giving it back. But the heckler, he wouldn't stop. And then someone else got up. And then he started going at the comedian as well. This joke must be really personal, but he colored up. And then the comedian thought, hey, this was 2 against 1. He started going for the other guy. Yes, it was really entertaining. The crowd started to laugh, and it was funny. And then another heckler got up, and another one. And suddenly, the comedian, he was getting a little bit flustered. He thought that, why is everybody against me? What have I done this time? And then more people got up. And I saw the comedian had panic. He had panic in his eyes. I don't know why. He just had panic in his eyes. And, he kind of wanted to get out of there. He stopped in. He said, hey, do you know what? I'm not going to do anything until everybody settles down or this show is over. But they didn't settle down. They just got louder. The segments from the crowd, they got louder and they started coming up. They did. They left their seats and they started coming up. And the comedian was backing away. And it happened within an instant. It's just crazy that these people, they sprinted and they got hold of the comedian. They got hold of him. And then suddenly the whole room changed. And it was like everybody around us was like baying for blood. They were baying for it. They all turned to the comedian. Every single one in the crowd. I mean, luckily we were towards the back and we wanted to say anything, but we were just consumed in shock. Absolutely consumed in shock. So the comedian, he was panicking. He started to scream, but the thing is that there was crowd members. They locked all the doors. I mean, why were they locking all the doors? It was like, was this pre-planned? I don't know if it was pre-planned, but suddenly everything changed and the atmosphere changed, but it seemed that the joke was on the comedian because everybody in the audience, they were all in on it. It was like, it didn't matter what the comedian was screaming. He was screaming. They had him locked down. Everybody, all the hecklers, they had him gripped down to the floor. And the comedian was screaming. There was audience members sat in their seats watching, and they were laughing. They were laughing as if this was part of the show. They were laughing louder than when the comedian was telling his finest jokes. They were in the grips of something. Hedonism. I don't know. Maybe they thought it was a part of the show. I mean, for a while, we thought it was a part of the show, but then those screams from the comedian, then we knew it was taken to something else. Yes, someone had petrol. I don't know why, a gas canister or something. And for some reason, why would you bring it up? Gas canister, petrol canister. Why would you bring that in to see a comedy show? I don't know, but they had one and they brought it up to the stage, and the people were laughing. They're like, they didn't care. They were laughing. They were going so crazy. And then someone opened up this person's mouth, and they poured it down his throat. You see him gargling. And the crowd, they were laughing hysterically. They were laughing, and this guy was vomiting. The comedian was vomiting. He was vomiting, violently vomiting. And the crowd, they didn't care. They were in the hypnoticness of laughter. They didn't care. And I had to leave at that moment. We had to get out there. We had to get out there. Well, I tried to call the cops, but for some reason, even the signal, there was no signal. I mean, sometimes it doesn't matter if there's no signal. That is still, you can still ring the emergency number and it'll still go through. But this time I was ringing it and nothing would happen. Nothing happened at all. So we had to leave. As soon as we left those doors, I noticed there was fire. And I noticed a giant scream, and then the doors just slammed. And that's it. And I just want to get as far away as possible. As possible. So anyway, we called the cops. As soon as there was a signal, we called the cops, and we said that there was something going on in this center, and we just had to go. I mean, we tried to go to the lobby area and see if there was anyone around there, any members of staff or anyone who we could call to, to stop the show or to call the emergency service. There was no one there. As if the whole place was vacant. There was no one even in the town. As if it was empty. I don't know. It was just crazy. So the cops, they come. We're with them. Well, we're outside, actually. And they go in. This is like an hour later. And they burst through the doors. And there's no one there. And they walk up to the stage. It's just, this is an auditorium, and it's full of people, but now there's no one there. And they walk to the stage under. Yes, it's the most strangest thing. And all they see at the stage is an outlining of a figure. Rash. And a canister of petrol. With a match by its side. And they try to accuse us of wanting to set fire to the auditorium. And we said, no, there was a comedian there. There was a comedian there. And they said, son, boys, you are having us on. This auditorium has been closed for 50 years. I couldn't believe it. But we were just here. This auditorium's been closed for 50 years. 50 years. And then we did some background research. I mean, lucky enough, they were going to arrest us. But, well, they didn't arrest us. But anyway, we just fast forward the story. So we did a little bit of research into this auditorium, and we found out that 50 years ago to the day, that a crowd of people went crazy on a comedian who said a joke, went really wrong, and they got him, and they set a light to him, and they tortured him. They tortured him. But that was 50 years ago. 50 years ago. People think we're lying. We weren't lying. It was the truth. We were there. I saw it with my own eyes.